Yo, what's going on everybody? Ari here and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be checking out a very special video by Ben Francis, who, if you don't know, is actually the CEO and founder of Gymshark, which is now officially a $1.4 billion brand. Now this video was actually, like I said, published by Ben Francis, and it has over 1 million views now in just 3 weeks. And I thought, you know what? I actually haven't checked out this video yet, so I thought it would be perfect for our little family here to check it out together and sort of give some live commentary here and just get fueled with inspiration together. So I'm actually really excited for this. I don't know about you, but I've been following Gymshark for a very long time, so this is really, really cool. So without further ado, let's see how Gymshark became a $1.4 billion brand.
I cannot believe I'm stood here saying this, but Gymshark is worth $1.4 billion.
That's so crazy.
It's like a weird feeling because ultimately what we've just done is signed off as having Gymshark as a $1 billion+ brand, which is like out of this world, because it was only 8 years ago, pretty much to the day, that I was like hand sewing and hand making and hand printing products and hand packaging them and sticking it into a bag and carrying it down to the post office. And
okay, that's pretty remarkable right there. I gotta just pause this super quick because this is actually what we're doing right now. So we're shipping all of our orders for our e-commerce brand just like this, and it's really humbling to see that this is exactly how he got his start. I think a lot of people are scared to sort of hold inventory and start shipping things out themselves.
Standing there whilst each one was stamped and sent out across the world, and to go from that to $1 billion brand, or more than $1 billion brand, is just insane. And like this is a really weird moment. I'm realising right now just how far we've come. We have literally come from hand stitching a product to being $1 billion brand. I'm so happy with how far we've come, but I'm so much more excited about how much further we've got to go. Today I wanted to be completely transparent with you guys, and I wanted to record a full video talking through what's been going on over the last few months, what the shareholding looks like now, and what our future plans are here at Gymshark to make sure that this is one.
Oh, so this is actually really interesting. This level of transparency, I think, is the biggest reason why they've been able to grow to these lengths, even though, you know, they're competing with brands like Nike, Adidas, just all these huge brands. And this guy, they started hand stitching things, and look at where they're at now. And they're still continuing to be extremely transparent. Now, I mean, he's going to share these things, which is pretty unbelievable. I don't know of any CEOs that are this transparent with their audience. And I mean, I guess maybe Elon Musk, but either way, this is really unbelievable. I'm really excited for this.
One of the biggest and ultimately the best fitness brand in the entire world. So this process, Gymshark is bringing on investors ultimately. And I know what a lot of you guys will think, is Ben selling out? Is this going to change the business? Absolutely not. All we're doing here is we're just formalizing the sort of share structure of the business. There's been a reorganization, which I'll talk you guys through in a minute, which is brilliant for the business. So if anything, you'll see Gymshark even more agile than ever. I'm going to have even more input and control over the future of the business. And ultimately, it's all about making sure that Gymshark continues on its rocket ship growth trajectory, continues to build out what we believe the future of brands and fitness communities look like, and end up becoming a truly, truly global brand. If I go back to when I founded this business, right, I was very young. I didn't really know what I was doing in this world. All I knew is that I had a dream of being involved in fitness, and I had a vision in terms of how I believe that brands, particularly in the space, should interact with people, how communities work. And I ultimately had all the difficulties of going to the gym the first time, feeling like everyone's staring at you, not really knowing what to do. I felt like the clothes just weren't right for me. And ultimately, that's when we ended up going off and making our own clothes. Right?
That's pretty cool. Honestly, I've seen this so many times, and I mean, even myself, a lot of the people that start these brands that they are hugely passionate about, they start these brands out of the need to solve a specific problem for their niche. So this, for example, I mean, everybody's looking for the next thing that's going to solve the biggest problem ever, but Ben here, for example, all he did is solve a problem that he was experiencing in the gym, which is just the fact that you don't feel like you're in a community. And through clothes, he was able to fix that problem and bring people together. So I think that's just unbelievable.
Right, and that's how Gymshark started. We realized very quickly that we were onto something brilliant. And it was at this point that Gymshark started becoming a lot more of a business, right? We started to hire staff and we started to build out a more formal process. And it was at this point, 21 years old, I think it was, I realized that I was really good at certain things and really, really bad at others. And it was at this point that we brought on Paul and Steve, who were...
Wow, that's really crazy. I mean, that's such an insane level of self-awareness at 21 years old. I mean, this is one of the biggest lessons I've learned this year so far. It's like really understanding my weaknesses and strengths and bringing in people into my business that make up for those weaknesses. So that's really cool. And that's a really big learning lesson. That's a huge golden nugget that he just mentioned right here. So just wanted to make a quick note of that.
We've completely and utterly revolutionized the business. And albeit looking back, that seems a very obvious decision to make. And to be fair, I've received a lot of credit in terms of bringing those people on, in terms of removing myself from the chief exec role and Steve coming in and really managing the day-to-day of the business. And I remember in terms of, albeit the very small amount of people that were working at Gymshark at the time, there was a lot of people that were questioning that decision. And ultimately, my gut instinct told me that it was the right thing to do because it would help develop and grow the business and the brand. It would allow me to focus on what I'm really good at, but also allow me to learn in the areas that I'm not good at. Give me a little bit of a safety blanket, which would allow me to fail in the areas that I'm weak at because Paul and Steve would cover those gaps. And ultimately, the decision was about continuing to grow and build the business in the right way. So since those guys have joined, it's been about 5 or 6 years. And it's been an amazing 5 or 6 years. You know, there's been ups, there's been downs. About 5 years ago, Lewis left the business, who I co-founded the business with. It just wasn't right for him, it wasn't working. So he sort of left, which I'll come back to in a moment. So yeah, it's been a huge learning curve. And just, albeit, believe me, it's incredible. And I genuinely think I have the best job in the world. There's been some incredibly difficult moments on that journey as well. And I have to thank both my friends, my family, and all the people around me here at Gymshark that have helped me get through that. So I think at that point, at the point of Lewis leaving, I think we were in the revenues of about 10 to 12 million pounds. Now we're well into the $300+ million, 250, 260 million pounds last year.
260 million pounds in 1 year. Can you believe that, guys? And this guy was hand stitching his own clothes like not even 10 years ago. Actually, exactly 10 years ago. That's pretty unbelievable. Wow. And I actually didn't know that he co-founded this business with someone. I thought that he was the sole owner, so that's pretty cool as well. And knowing that that person left the business about 4 years ago, so these whole 4 years he's been basically the main guy making the decisions, that's pretty awesome. Wow, that's an unbelievable amount of revenue since that other guy left.
So the growth has just been absolutely huge. And I've always said to you guys that I always want to take every single leap possible to take this into being one of the biggest and best brands in the world. And I think it would be remiss of me to not continue to bring in the right people that will help elevate us to that next level. Ultimately, we want to keep pushing forward and creating and building what we believe the future of what brands look like. So a year ago, we made the decision to bring on an investor, and this has been a really long, considered and steady process. We haven't rushed it whatsoever because we know that this is one of the most important decisions that we're going to make as we move forward. So going into this, we weren't looking at necessarily the highest value. Obviously, we wanted fair value, but ultimately we needed the right cultural fit, and we needed the company that we felt would really and truly help grow Gymshark in the right way into a truly global brand. And I say in the right way because the old playbook for success in brands was you create as much product as you can, to put into as many stores as you can, to please as many people as you can. And that was really good for fast growth.
That was the old method, retail.
But ultimately, that led to big, slow, clunky businesses that didn't truly understand their consumer and had no control over the consumer experience or their data. But we needed someone that really, truly understood and aligned with our vision of how we want to grow Gymshark. Because we don't necessarily want to grow Gymshark in the quickest way. We want to grow it in a way that we feel is right, both given our morals, our values, but ultimately where the market is going and where we think the future of brands should be. So I'm absolutely buzzing to tell you that we are signing with a company called General Atlantic. And we saw a lot of companies, and there was a brilliant 3 companies at the end that we were working with, and they were absolutely brilliant. But General Atlantic, particularly Gabe and Melis, the first time we met them, they just got this brand. They completely understand where we want to get to, and just culturally, they were just dead on. Like,
you know what? I recently looked at some presentation by Netflix or something talking about one of the reasons why they became so big and one of their biggest focuses, and it always seems to be culture. And I think the brands with the biggest like culture behind them are the ones that are growing the fastest. I mean, Tesla, for example, they have a cult like following, and it's also interesting to see that these cult like brands also have a sort of leader that's the face of the brand, such as, you know, for Gymshark it's Ben Francis, for Tesla it's Elon Musk. It's really interesting to see that correlation, and I think it's because people just really love the sort of transparency that comes with having a face to a brand, and that's really cool. It really makes me excited for the future and maybe to potentially share my brands with you guys as well.
it was one of those moments, right? It's like when you know, and we 100% knew with these guys, and these people, this company will truly help us grow. They will help us develop in the right way. So one of the questions that I am bound to get the most is going to be around shareholding. What does this look like? Ben, are you selling out? Are you reducing your shareholding? All this sort of stuff. And the short answer is no, and I'll explain how and why in a minute. Right, so previously, Gymshark shareholding as of several weeks ago, and it's been this way for the last 5 or 6 years, I own 67% of the business. Lewis, who I co-founded the business with, owned 20% of the business, and the rest was split between Paul and Steve, essentially between 6 and 7%. And that was the structure of the business. And that was great for me because I had majority shareholding. I could really push forward with the way that the brand was moving. But like I said, ultimately, Lewis left the business years ago. So as we went into this process, I gave Lewis a call and I said, listen, we're looking at doing this. And he came back to me and he said, I want to crack on, I want to move on, I want to do other things. And as a result of that, I'd like to sell all of my shareholding. So fortunately, which is, you know, it's great for everyone, we're buzzing because now that sort of frees up that extra shareholding that we've got in the business. So the new shareholding will look something roughly like this. So General Atlantic will have a bit over 20%, so it's going to be around 21% of the business. I will have 70%, so I'm actually increasing my shareholding here from 67% to 70%, which I'm really excited about. So General Atlantic will be around 21.
That's pretty cool. Wow, Ben, this guy's amazing. This guy really finessed this deal because not only did he get this huge partnership and acquisition, but he also increased his shareholding in the company. So that's ridiculous. That's pretty amazing. Like usually when people get acquired or companies get acquired, their shareholdings goes down significantly. I think Tesla, Elon Musk, for example, only owns like 20 or 30% of Tesla, which is obviously huge because it's like $100-200 billion company. But this is crazy. This guy actually came out of this deal with more equity than he had before. That's pretty awesome.
I'll be a little over 70%, and my brother Joe is also going to have about 1% shareholding in the business as he was employee number 1, and he's just an integral part of this business. And then the rest of it is split between all the leadership team, Noel, Niran, Perrins, Gemma, Dave, Philip, and obviously Paul and Steve as well will still hold shareholdings in this business going forward. So that's the utterly, completely transparent view. Culturally, will the business change? Absolutely not. If anything, it will just get better and better. General Atlantic will continue to amplify the culture in this business. And that's what I'm so excited about, right? Is amplifying this culture, making sure that we maintain it as we continue to grow, because we really are in unknown territory here, right? Gymshark is a $1.45 billion brand. We're doing $300 plus $400 million revenue in the next sort of 12 months. This is a rapidly growing brand. People haven't been in this situation before. The old playbook has been thrown out the window, and we're going on this growth journey in a completely different way to what anyone else has ever done it before. And you know, who knows where it will take us. What you'll often see in businesses, especially when they get to this sort of size, is business growth or business size increases and transparency decreases. Whereas the important thing for me, leading this business, having founded this business, is that as the business gets bigger, transparency almost increases. I want to be completely transparent with you guys, and I've had a lot of feedback in terms of how great it is that we are being so transparent previously, but I know that no one is as transparent as what we are now, certainly for the size that we're at. But ultimately, to summarize, we've got an incredible partner. They're a great cultural fit. They're going to help amplify the Gymshark brand and help us to continue to grow. The shareholding is much more tidy now, which I'm really, really happy about, and it gives me more control in this business and its direction than I think I've ever had. In terms of our growth going forward, North America, North America, North America. That is a huge opportunity for us. And about 3 weeks ago, I was supposed to get a one-way flight to Denver.
So they're really putting a big priority in expanding into the US, which is really interesting. For my brand that I just showed you guys, we only sell to the US. Now we live in the US, so that kind of makes sense. But it's interesting that that's kind of his biggest priority. I really like hearing that because I know that the US is a huge market, and I've myself been worried about that. Like, oh man, you know, everybody's selling to the US. Wouldn't that make it more difficult for us? But at the same time, I recognize that it's such a big market and it has so much spending power, and it's only increasing in the e-commerce world. So I see why, you know, they're going all in on North America.
Colorado, me and Robin were going to move out there. I was going to head up the US office, but then COVID got in the way, and that's been essentially delayed until further notice. So yeah, we're opening the Denver office. We've got 2 distribution centers opening in America as well. We've already opened our Canadian one in Toronto. The 2 in the US will be in Ohio and in California. In terms of Europe, as soon as we open that US office, that means that everyone here in headquarters can focus in 100% on the European proposition. Finally, where I think GA really will help us as well, is in our APAC expansion. So we're currently looking into that, how that looks. So that's a project that we're currently working on as well, which I'm absolutely buzzing about.
Wow.
So there it is. That's everything that's gone on Gymshark in the last few months. It's been possibly the most difficult experience of my entire life. It has pushed me to my limit, and with that, it's been probably the most fulfilling experience of my life. I never thought I'd be sat here having this conversation with you guys. I never thought I'd be able to say this. I didn't know Gymshark would get to this point, but I just want to thank everyone that supports Gymshark, everyone that supports our vision, everyone that supports me and the team here. Genuinely, it means the world to us.
To become the QS leading business brand, Lewis made a partial exit in 2016. He has now sold the remaining of his shareholdings for the sum of £100 million. Wow. Not too shabby. Not too shabby for the partner that exited the business. Holy wow. That's pretty amazing. So wow, that was really inspiring. I don't even know what to say right now. That was just amazing. That was an amazing video, and Gymshark is for sure one of my favorite companies. Even though I'm not the biggest fitness junkie by any means, I can appreciate the way that they've grown and the community that they've built, and just the transparency in this business is just so unbelievable, and it's so inspiring. For me, at least, this guy is like such a role model for me, and Gymshark as a brand is what I want to model my businesses after. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and you got some inspiration too. This really goes to show the power of just committing to your vision. And I mean, this has been 10 years in the making, so it's not like this was an overnight success by any means. And sort of what he mentioned is that, you know, a lot of people probably think this was some genius strategic moves that he made, and that's why the business grew to this extent. But that couldn't be further from the truth at all. In fact, all it was is just following their instinct and building unstoppable momentum. And look at where they're at now. So I'm really happy for Ben and the whole Gymshark team. But with that said, make sure you give this video a like and let me know in the comments what you think. I answer every single comment that you guys leave me, and I would love to have a discussion with you about anything. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.